Okay, so get ready for this, everyone. We're about to do a deep dive into AI, but not the kind that's always up in the cloud.
Oh, this is interesting.
Today's all about offline AI, and it's open source. You know, that kind there's making waves, making people really rethink what AI can do.
Yeah, it's fascinating to see this shift happening. All this talk about data privacy and how much cloud computing costs. And people want AI that can react instantly, in real time. So developers are heading in a whole new direction.
And two big names are leading the charge. NVIDIA's Jetson Orin platform and something called the DeepSeek R1 AI model. Just picture this, powerful AI tucked away in your pocket, working even when you don't have internet.
It really is about making AI accessible to everyone, not just big companies, but developers, researchers, even just people who like to tinker. Imagine the possibilities if anyone with an idea can actually work with powerful AI.
AI for everyone.
Ugh.
I love it. Okay, so let's start with NVIDIA's Jetson Orin. This thing is tiny. I mean, picture a platform that fits in your hand. But don't let the size fool you. It can run complex AI models that are really impressive.
And here's the kicker. Jetson Orin uses very little power, perfect for devices that use batteries. It's like a marathon runner that can sprint, all while barely breaking a sweat.
And get this, it's affordable too. The Jetson Orin Nano Super Developer Kit, it's designed for things like generative AI, robotics, and embedded systems, and it's just $249.
That changes everything, doesn't it? It really opens doors for people who want to get into AI development. And to help with that, the Jetson Orin comes with NVIDIA's Jetpack SDK, so developers have all the tools and frameworks they need right from the start.
Perfect. Now let's move on to the DeepSeek R1, the other half of this dynamic duo. This open source AI model is causing a stir because it can reason, solve math problems, and even write code.
It really shows you what open source innovation can achieve, and it's completely free to use and modify because it has an MIT license. That's a win for everyone in the AI community.
And here's the crazy part. DeepSeek R1 is so efficient it can run on a Raspberry Pi.
Imagine that. A pocket-sized AI device like the Jetson Orin running powerful, free software like DeepSeek R1. It's like giving someone a toolbox full of cutting-edge AI tools and saying, go build something amazing.
That's what we like to hear. And let's not forget about privacy. All the data processing happens right there on the device, so everything stays secure.
Data privacy is a big deal these days. So running AI locally on a Jetson Orin with DeepSeek R1 means you don't have to send sensitive information to the cloud. You keep control of everything.
And it's cost effective too. Open source models like DeepSeek R1 can really lower development costs.
Especially when you combine them with affordable hardware like the Jetson Orin. This makes AI development possible for startups and smaller companies that don't have the resources of those big tech giants.
It's like a perfect storm of factors are coming together to change how AI is developed and used. We're talking about a real shift in how things are done. So what does this all mean in the bigger picture?
Well, it means we're about to see a huge explosion of innovation in AI. Think about real-time AI applications in robotics, self-driving systems, and the Internet of Things, all happening offline on affordable devices.
Things are going to get really interesting. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's talk about how DeepSeek R1 works its magic. What makes it so special?
Well, one key factor is its architecture, which is based on a system called Mixture of Experts, or MOE. This thing has a huge number of parameters, 37 billion active and a whopping 671 billion total.
Wow, that's a lot of brain power. No wonder it can handle those complex reasoning tasks so well.
Yeah.
What else can you tell us about what DeepSeek R1 can do?
It's not just about the number of parameters. DeepSeek R1 also uses advanced reinforcement learning techniques.
Reinforcement learning, that's when AI learns through trial and error, kind of like figuring out a maze.
You got it. And for DeepSeek R1, this has led to some impressive cognitive abilities. We're talking about self-verification and multi-step reflection. These abilities let it solve complex problems that would trip up other models.
I'm starting to see why DeepSeek R1 is getting so much attention. But can it really compete with the big players like OpenAI's models? I mean, those are in a whole different league.
It absolutely can. In fact, DeepSeek R1 has achieved top-tier results on several benchmarks. It scored an amazing 97.3% accuracy on the Math 500 test and landed in the 96.3rd percentile on Codeforces.
Wow, those are impressive scores. I bet those results are making people pay attention. What about its performance in real-world situations? Can it handle the pressure?
DeepSeek R1 is really good at things that require complex problem solving, mathematical reasoning, and, like you said, generating code. But it can do more than that. It also understands human language really well.
Wait, are we saying this model can understand human language, think logically, solve complex math problems, and write code? Is there anything it can't do?
And don't forget, it can do all of this on a low-power device like a Raspberry Pi.
This is mind-blowing. The possibilities are endless.
They really are. It has huge implications for the future of AI.
I think our listener is starting to understand just how powerful this combo of Jetson Orin and DeepSeek R1 can be. But let's get specific. What are some real-world situations where this tech could be a game changer?
Let's start with robotics. Imagine a robot that can navigate tricky environments, make decisions in real time, and even learn from its experiences, all without needing to be connected to the internet.
That sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, but it's becoming a reality, isn't it?
It is. The processing power of Jetson Orin combined with the intelligence of DeepSeek R1 makes this kind of autonomous robotics possible.
What about other fields? Where else could this have a big impact?
The possibilities are almost endless. Think about healthcare. Imagine AI-powered devices that can diagnose conditions, monitor patients, even assist with surgeries, all while keeping patient data completely private.
And we can't forget about education.
Absolutely. Affordable and accessible AI tools mean students can have hands-on learning experiences with AI. They can experiment, build their own AI-powered projects. It's a whole new way to learn and create.
This feels like a big moment for AI. It's not just about big companies with huge computing resources anymore. It's about giving individuals and smaller organizations a chance to be part of the AI revolution.
Exactly. What's exciting is that we're just getting started. As more developers start working with DeepSeek R1 and platforms like Jetson Orin, who knows what amazing innovations we'll see.
Now that's what I call democratizing AI.
Exactly. And as this technology becomes easier to get and more affordable, we'll see a wave of creativity and innovation in AI, unlike anything we've seen before.
I can't wait to see what the future holds for this field. It feels like we're on the verge of something truly transformative.
I couldn't agree more. And who knows, maybe our listener will be inspired to create the next big breakthrough in AI using DeepSeek R1 and a Jetson Orin.
That would be amazing. We've covered a lot today, but I feel like we've only just scratched the surface. There's so much more to explore in the world of offline, open source AI.
You're absolutely right. Before we move on, I think it's important to highlight the bigger impact of these technologies. We're not just talking about cool gadgets and software. This is a fundamental shift in how we think about and interact with AI.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit. What do you mean by a fundamental shift?
For decades, AI has been mostly limited to research labs and big tech companies with massive computing power. But now, with technologies like Jetson Orin and DeepSeek R1, we're seeing AI become more decentralized. It's becoming available to individuals and smaller organizations.
So it's moving away from being centralized and exclusive to something more distributed and inclusive.
Exactly. And this has huge implications for innovation, privacy, and even how we think about work and education.
Can you give us some examples of how this shift is already happening?
We're already seeing developers creating incredible AI-powered applications for everything from healthcare to education to environmental monitoring, all using offline open source tools. And this is just the beginning.
It's incredible to think about the potential impact on society as a whole.
It is, and I believe the shift towards more open and accessible AI is ultimately a positive one. It gives individuals more control over their own data and allows them to create solutions tailored to their specific needs.
I'm feeling inspired. How about you, listener?
Me too. And I hope our listener is feeling inspired as well.
Before we move on, I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier about AI being a black box. You explained how DeepSeek R1 addresses this with its chain of thought reasoning. But what about other AI models? Are there efforts being made to make AI decision-making more transparent in general?
That's an important point. The lack of transparency in how some AI models reach their conclusions is a real concern, especially as AI systems become more integrated into our lives.
So it's not just about ensuring that AI systems are accurate and efficient, but also about understanding how they work and making sure they're making decisions in a way that aligns with our values.
Exactly. There's a growing movement within the AI community to develop techniques and tools for making AI systems more explainable and accountable.
It's good to know that people are taking this seriously.
It is, and I think it's important for everyone, not just AI experts, to be aware of these issues and take part in conversations about the implications of AI. After all, the future of AI will be shaped by all of us.
I think our listener has a lot to think about. What do you say?
I agree. This has been a great discussion so far.
Well, let's take a moment to gather our thoughts, and when we return, we'll continue exploring the world of DeepSeek R1 and Jetson Orin.
Welcome back, everyone. Before the break, we were talking about how DeepSeek R1 and NVIDIA's Jetson Orin are really shaking things up in the AI world. Let's dive a little deeper into the technical side of DeepSeek R1. What makes this thing tick?
All right, I'm ready to get into the nitty-gritty. We talked briefly about something called the Mixture of Experts Architecture, MOE for short, earlier. Can you explain that a bit more? It sounds pretty complicated.
Oh, it is complex, but it's brilliant. Think of it like a team of specialists, each one an expert in a specific area. When you give DeepSeek R1 a task, it doesn't just throw all its parameters at the problem, it actually chooses the best experts for the job.
So it's about strategy, not just brute force.
You got it. That's a big reason why DeepSeek R1 is so efficient, especially when you compare it to some other large language models that try to use all their parameters for every single task. Remember that huge number of parameters we talked about? Well, DeepSeek R1 uses them wisely.
That explains how it can run on a tiny Raspberry Pi. It's like having a supercomputer in your pocket. But how does it learn? We mentioned reinforcement learning, but can you give us a clearer picture of how that works in practice?
Okay, picture DeepSeek R1 as a student learning a new skill. It goes through a process of trial and error and gets feedback along the way. If it does well and completes the task, it gets a reward. Over time, it figures out the best strategies and makes better decisions to get more rewards.
So it's like training a dog with treats. But instead of treats, DeepSeek R1 gets digital pats on the back for solving problems correctly.
That's a good way to put it. And just like a dog can learn amazing tricks, DeepSeek R1 can master complex reasoning, math, and even coding tasks through this reinforcement learning.
You mentioned earlier that DeepSeek R1 can even visualize its thought process. How is that even possible? It's an AI, not a human with a whiteboard. How can it visualize anything?
It's all about making the AI's decisions more transparent. DeepSeek R1 uses something called chain of thought reasoning. It breaks down a complex problem into smaller, easier steps. And at each step, it generates text explaining its reasoning.
So it's like showing its work step by step, just like a student solving a math problem on paper.
Exactly. And this is incredibly valuable when you're dealing with AI. It helps us understand how the model got to its conclusion, which builds trust and tackles that black box problem many AI models have. We don't just want to know what the AI decided. We want to know why.
This is all super impressive. But I have to ask, are there any downsides to using an open source model like DeepSeek R1? It almost seems too good to be true.
That's a fair question. It's good to know the challenges as well as the benefits. One thing is that open source models sometimes need a deeper understanding of AI and programming to really unlock their full potential.
So maybe there's a steeper learning curve compared to using an off-the-shelf AI solution.
There can be, but that's also part of what makes open source great. It lets developers really get to know the model and customize it to their needs. It's like having the blueprints to a car and being able to tweak the engine to get the performance you want.
And what about support? If you have a problem with a regular AI model, you can usually call the company's support team. But with open source, it's different, right?
That's true. But the open source community is super active and helpful. You won't find a dedicated customer service hotline, but there are platforms like GitHub and forums specifically for DeepSeek R1. Developers connect, share knowledge, ask questions, and work together to solve problems.
So even though there's no traditional support team, there's a whole network of developers out there ready to help.
Exactly. And this collaborative spirit is a big reason why open source AI is moving forward so quickly. It's like a giant collective brain always learning and growing.
I have to say, I'm really impressed with DeepSeek R1. It seems like the advantages far outweigh the potential downsides.
I agree. When you combine the flexibility and affordability of DeepSeek R1 with the power and efficiency of the Jetson Orin platform, you've got a recipe for real innovation. It's like having all the ingredients for a 5-star AI meal, and the only limit is your imagination.
And speaking of innovation, what's next for DeepSeek R1? What's in store for this amazing model?
Well, the DeepSeek community is always working to make the model better. Their roadmap is full of exciting things, like support for longer context lengths, meaning it can process more information at once. And they're working on multimodal input so it can work with different types of data, like images and sound. They're even making its conversational abilities even better so it can understand and respond to human language even more naturally.
So DeepSeek R1 is going to keep getting more powerful and versatile.
Absolutely. And remember, it's all open source. Anyone can help develop it. It's a true community effort, and that's what makes it so exciting.
That's democratizing AI in action. We're not just talking about using AI, we're talking about shaping its future.
That's right. As this technology becomes easier to access and more affordable, I think we'll see a huge surge of creativity and innovation in AI. It's like opening up a vast, unexplored territory and inviting everyone to explore and discover.
I can't wait to see what the future holds. But for now, let's focus on a specific aspect of DeepSeek R1 that we touched on earlier, the mixture of experts architecture. Can you give us a real-world example of how this works in practice?
Okay, imagine DeepSeek R1 is working on a tough coding problem. Instead of using all 671 billion parameters, which would be overkill, it picks a group of experts that specialize in code generation. These experts have been trained on tons of code and are great at coding tasks.
So it's like putting together a specialized team for each mission. No wasted effort, just laser focus on the task.
Exactly. This targeted approach not only saves computing power, but also lets DeepSeek R1 excel in different tasks, from math problems to understanding human language.
This MOE architecture is a real game changer. But doesn't specializing like this create limitations? What if DeepSeek R1 faces a problem outside its expertise?
That's a good point. Specialization can lead to blind spots. But the DeepSeek team knew this could happen. They designed the MOE system to be flexible so it can adapt to new problems. It's like having a team of experts who are also skilled in other areas.
So DeepSeek R1 isn't just a one-trick pony. It's a versatile AI powerhouse that can handle all sorts of challenges.
Exactly. And what's amazing is that it does all of this while being super efficient. It runs smoothly even on devices like the Jetson Orin Nano, which have limited resources. It's like having a world-class chef who can create a gourmet meal in a tiny kitchen.
This sounds incredibly promising, but how about real-world applications? Can you give us some examples of how DeepSeek R1 and Jetson Orin are being used today?
Absolutely. Let's start with robotics, where there's a growing need for real-time decision-making and robots that can work on their own. Imagine a search and rescue robot navigating a disaster zone, analyzing debris, finding survivors, and making critical decisions in the moment, all without needing a stable internet connection. That's the power of DeepSeek R1 and Jetson Orin working together.
That's incredible. It's like having a highly skilled first responder who can work independently in even the toughest environments.
That's right. And this technology isn't limited to search and rescue. Think about manufacturing. Robots equipped with DeepSeek R1 and Jetson Orin could perform complex tasks, adapt to changes in production lines, and even learn new skills without constant human supervision.
It sounds like this could revolutionize industries that rely on automation and precision.
It certainly has the potential, and it goes beyond robotics. Imagine healthcare with portable AI-powered diagnostic tools that could analyze medical images, monitor patient vitals, and even assist with complex surgeries, all while protecting patient data.
The possibilities seem endless. It's like having a team of medical specialists available anytime, anywhere, regardless of internet access.
That's the power of offline open source AI. It brings advanced capabilities to everyone, giving individuals and organizations the tools to solve real-world problems in new and impactful ways.
This has been eye-opening. It's clear that DeepSeek R1 and Jetson Orin are at the forefront of a technological revolution. But before we get carried away, let's step back and consider the potential challenges and limitations. Are there any ethical considerations we need to be mindful of?
That's a really important point. While the benefits of offline AI are undeniable, we have to approach this technology responsibly. We need to make sure these powerful tools are used ethically and for the good of society.
Can you say more about that? What specific ethical concerns should we be thinking about?
One big concern is bias in AI models. If a model is trained on biased data, it can make existing societal biases even worse. We need to make sure AI models are trained on diverse and representative data to avoid this.
That makes sense. We don't want AI to just copy the inequalities and prejudices that already exist.
Exactly. We need AI systems that are fair, transparent, and accountable. Another ethical consideration is the potential impact of AI on jobs. As AI systems become more capable, they could replace human workers in some industries.
That's a valid concern. Automation has always made people wonder about the future of work.
It's a complex issue. But I think AI can also create new jobs and opportunities. It's about finding ways to use AI's strengths while also investing in human skills and education so people can adapt to changes in the workplace.
That's an optimistic outlook. It's important to remember that AI is a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or bad. It's up to us to guide its development and make sure it's used responsibly.
I completely agree. The future of AI is in our hands. It's our responsibility to ensure it's used to create a more just, sustainable, and prosperous world for everyone.
Well said. I think our listener has a lot to ponder. Let's take a moment to think about everything we've discussed. When we come back, we'll wrap up our deep dive into the fascinating world of DeepSeek R1 and Jetson Orin.
And we're back. That was quite a journey through offline open source AI. I'm already feeling like I need to catch up on the latest tech.
It really is exciting stuff. We've talked about a lot, from how DeepSeek R1 works to how it's changing different industries. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it all. But before we finish up, let's go over the key takeaways one more time.
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is how well NVIDIA's Jetson Orin platform and the DeepSeek R1 model work together. It's a powerful combo that's making AI available to everyone, not just the big players with tons of resources.
It's like they've opened a door to a world where anyone can use AI to create and innovate. I love it.
Right. The Jetson Orin is that little powerhouse we talked about, running those complex AI models right on the device, no need for the cloud at all.
And then you have DeepSeek R1, the brains behind it all. It's amazing how this open source model can reason, do math, and even write code.
We've also seen how this technology is having a real-world impact, especially in areas like robotics, healthcare, and education.
It's incredible to think about robots being used in disaster zones for search and rescue, or AI-powered medical devices giving people personalized care while keeping their data private. And then there's education, with students using these AI tools to learn and build amazing things.
And let's not forget the benefits of running AI locally on a device like the Jetson Orin. Data privacy and lower costs. You control your own data, and you don't have to rely on cloud providers or even an internet connection.
It's mind-blowing to think that such powerful AI can fit in your pocket and run on software that's freely available.
It really shows the power of the open source community and how creative developers are pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
But we also need to remember that powerful tools come with responsibilities.
Right, absolutely. We talked about how important it is for AI decision making to be transparent, and we need to make sure these AI systems are making choices we agree with and reflect our values.
Right.
We want AI that helps us, not AI that we don't understand or that makes decisions we disagree with.
It's definitely a conversation that everyone needs to be a part of, not just the experts. The future of AI is something we all share.
I couldn't agree more. The future of AI isn't set in stone. It's something we're actively shaping with each decision and innovation.
Well, I think we've given our listeners a lot to consider today. What are your final thoughts?
I hope our deep dive has sparked some curiosity and a sense of what's possible. We're on the edge of something new and exciting, and there's so much potential for positive change. I truly believe the future of AI is bright, and I can't wait to see the amazing things people will create with it.
This has been a great journey, and I'm feeling really inspired.
Me too. This kind of energy and excitement is contagious. It's inspiring to see so many people who are passionate about using AI to make the world a better place.
I have one last question for our listeners to think about. If you had a powerful AI device, small enough to fit in your pocket and running on free open source software, what would you create with it? What problem would you solve? What dream would you make a reality? The possibilities are truly endless. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of offline open source AI.